Have you ever noticed that the more you ask for peace, the more anguish seems to grow within you? The more you beg to feel at peace, the faster your heart races, the faster your thoughts spin, and the more life seems to swirl in a vortex that leaves you breathless. This is not punishment, this is not abandonment. And contrary to what you have been told your entire life, God is not far from you. Archangel Michael is here right now, in this exact instant that your eyes meet these words, and he has a message that will completely change the way you understand peace. Feel at peace. That is the spiritual order that traverses the fourth dimension and reaches you through this video. It is not a suggestion. It is not vague advice. It is a decree. Because the peace you seek so much is not out there. It is not in the future. It is not after the bills are paid, after the child comes home, after the husband changes, after the test result is negative, after the money comes in. Peace is a state of consciousness that precedes the manifestation of everything you desire. And you, my brother, my sister, have spent your entire life trying to achieve peace after things work out, when in truth it is the peace assumed before that makes things work out. Pay close attention to this first revelation, because it alone can change everything. You do not attract what you want, you attract what you feel you already are. If you feel like a person in lack, your heart's electromagnetic field emits exactly that frequency, and your subconscious mind, obedient as an ancient servant, produces more experiences of lack. If you feel like a person at war, everything around you will continue to be at war. But if you learn the secret, the only secret, the one that Neville Goddard spent decades teaching, and that Joseph Murphy wrote in stone, your entire life turns inside out in silence, without noise, without effort. The secret is this, and I want you to memorize it. Feeling is the secret. It is not the request, it is not the technique, it is not the beautiful ritual, it is the feeling assumed of already being what you desire to be. Archangel Michael does not come to those who beg on their knees with a terrified heart. He comes to those who dare to sit in the room of their own heart and say in silence, I am peace, I am rest, I am divine care. And it is there in that invisible instant that his sword cuts the knot of fear that has been coiled within you for years, perhaps for decades. You need to understand one thing before I continue. What you have been calling real life is merely the delayed echo of what your subconscious mind has been repeating for years. Your bank account, your relationship, your health, the atmosphere inside your home. All of this is the exteriorization of an internal state. You are not suffering because life is unfair. You are reaping. And every pain that insists on returning is proof that there is still an old program running inside, saying quietly, every night, I am not worthy, I do not have, I cannot, the worst always happens to me. And as long as this inner talking continues, no archangel, no angel, no prayer can penetrate, not because God does not want to, but because God respects the law that He Himself created, the law of assumption. That is why I have prepared this powerful digital book for you. It is called How to Know If God Will Save You on Judgment Day, and the reason I am telling you this now, at this specific point in the video, is not commercial, it is spiritual. Because the restlessness you feel while hearing these words, that strange tightness in your chest, that sensation that someone has finally put into words what you have lived for years, this is no accident. Archangel Michael does not lead anyone to a video like this without a purpose. You were brought here and there is a reason. There is a silent mission placed upon your shoulders, perhaps to protect your family, perhaps to break a generational cycle, perhaps to be the first person in your lineage to truly understand who God is. Thousands of people have already received this book and written to me saying that, after reading it, something simply unlocked. Debts resolved in inexplicable ways, children who returned, marriages restored, nightly fears that vanished. This content could be taken down at any moment because what it reveals bothers many who profit from your fear. The link is in the description of this video and pinned at the top of the comments. If you feel this calling now, do not delay, because delaying a spiritual calling is turning your back on a door that may never open again. And if you want to confirm that you have heard this message, simply comment Amen, Michael, below, and observe what happens in the next 72 hours. Now I am going to take you deeper, Because it is no use for you to buy books, watch videos, or memorize phrases if you do not understand why your manifestation has been failing. And there is a common error that cancels out everything you do, an error that 9 out of 10 people commit without realizing it, and I will reveal it in a few minutes. Stay with me, because the next part is where Archangel Michael truly puts the sword to your problem. Neville Goddard used to say a phrase that seems simple, but destroys any superficial theology. Imagination is God in action. It is not a metaphor, it is not poetry, it is a literal description of the spiritual functioning of the universe. You were created in the image and likeness of God, and God creates through word and imagination. When he said, "Let there be light," there was light, because the word spoken in a state of inner conviction is the seed. When you, created in his image, imagine something with feeling, you are exercising the same power, only often in the wrong direction. Every night, lying in bed, you imagine the worst-case scenario, the dismissal, the betrayal, the illness, the emptiness. You repeat with feeling that which you fear, and the universe, obedient, delivers. Not because it wants to hurt you, but because the law of assumption does not judge the request. It merely responds to the dominant frequency of your state of consciousness. Feel at peace. Feel at peace now as you read, because from the moment you understand that the problem was never that God was deaf, but that you were imagining what you do not want, you recover your power. And it is exactly this power that Archangel Michael has come to restore to you today. That is why I have prepared this powerful digital book for you, and why I return to mention it now. How to know if God will save you on Judgment Day. The link is in the description, and at the top of the comments. It is not about fear of the end. It is about recognizing that there is a silent judgment happening within you every second, the judgment of your own inner talking, and it is that which decides what manifests. Do not leave it for later. Someone needs you to be the first in the family to wake up. Now the common mistake, the one that annuls your manifestation. Pay attention as if your life depended on it, because in many ways, it does. The mistake is this. You ask for change, but you continue to feel like one who does not have it. You pray for healing, but you continue to identify with the illness. You pray for abundance, but you continue to check your balance with a heavy heart. You pray for love, but you continue to feel alone, unworthy, tired. And the law of assumption does not respond to your mouth, it responds to your feeling. You can say, "I trust 1,000 times a day," but if deep down you feel that everything will go wrong, that is what comes to pass. Neville Goddard called this the state test. If you want to know which state of consciousness you are living in right now, do not look at your mouth. Look at your predominant feeling. How do you feel when no one is watching? How do you feel when you wake up? How do you feel before you fall asleep? It is this feeling and not your formal prayer that is designing your tomorrow, and that is why there is a specific technique, a sacred window. A portal that Archangel Michael opens every night which almost no one uses, the moment of falling asleep. In the minutes before you sleep, your mind enters a natural state of extreme suggestibility. Your brain leaves the beta wave, crosses the alpha wave, and arrives at the theta wave, which is the state of the fourth dimension. In this state, everything that is felt with conviction is recorded in the subconscious, with the same force as a scripture. That is why those who fall asleep lamenting wake up with their lives worsening, and those who sleep in the feeling of gratitude for what has not yet arrived wake up seeing bridges forming, the so-called bridge of incidents, those coincidences that are not coincidences, the unexpected phone calls, the seemingly random encounters, the thoughts coming from nowhere that solve old problems. I want to teach you now the nocturnal reprogramming technique that Archangel Michael whispers to those who have ears to hear. It has 4 steps, and none of them involve mental effort. It involves surrender. It involves feeling. First step. As soon as you lie down, breathe deeply 3 times and relax every part of your body, from your feet to the top of your head. Do not think about problems. If any thought of bills, fights, fear, or pain appears, just say softly to yourself, "Let go, surrender, feel at peace," and let it pass like a cloud in the sky. Second step, choose a short scene that represents your desire already fulfilled. Not the scene of the process, not the scene of getting there, but the scene of having already arrived. If your desire is peace in the family, see the scene of a quiet dinner, everyone talking, your heart light. If your desire is sufficient money, see the scene of you looking at your bank statement and smiling in peace. If the desire is love, see the scene of someone holding your hand, and the feeling is one of, finally, I am home. Third step, enter this scene like someone stepping into a movie in the first person. Do not watch from the outside, live from the inside. Smell the scent, hear the voices, notice the temperature of the room, the touch of the fabric, the weight of the other's body. This is the state of consciousness. And here, pay attention. The scene must provoke in you the feeling of it is done, not it will happen, not I hope it happens, but it is done, thank you God. The gratitude for the already. Fourth step, fall asleep, repeating internally, and I am corresponding to the desire. I am the peace of my home. I am divine care. I am provided for. I am loved. I am health. Not like someone repeating a mechanical prayer, but like someone affirming an identity that is already yours by spiritual right, because it was God himself who introduced himself to Moses as, I am that I am. When you say I am, you are placing the very name of God upon your being. And here comes a truth that perhaps no one has told you with such clarity. Persistence is the only filter that separates those who manifest from those who only dream. Many people do the technique 1 night, 2 nights, 3 nights, and on the 4th day, when they see that material life has not yet changed, they give up. But it is precisely between the 5th and the 30th night that the bridge of incidents begins to form in the invisible. God is rearranging people, phone calls, letters, ideas, and opportunities on the spiritual plane. You cannot give up 5 minutes before the miracle. Persistence is not stubbornness, it is faith in action. That is why I have prepared a powerful digital book for you, How to Know If God Will Save You on Judgment Day. At this moment in the video, if you feel that every word seems to have been written exactly for your situation, this is no coincidence. There is something inside you that is being revealed, a spiritual responsibility that you may have been carrying without understanding. Perhaps Archangel Michael has positioned you here because your family needs someone to break an old pattern, a cycle of scarcity, a cycle of illness, a cycle of strife, a cycle of defeat. The link is in the description and pinned at the top of the comments. Many have already read it and told me that the book awakened them like a gentle shock, and that after reading it, they began to see signs they had previously ignored. Do not wait for tomorrow. Tomorrow may be too early or too late. It depends on the side your heart chooses right now. If you accept this call, comment below, Michael, I am ready, and then observe. Now let me tell you how this works in your day-to-day life in America. On your real ground, not in theory, because none of this is any good if it stays only in your head. You live in an America where the electricity bill arrives doubled, where the grocery store hurts, where the health insurance payment feels like an assault. You wake up early, face the traffic, face the boss, face the silence of a tired marriage, face the empty room of a child who has drifted away. You arrive home exhausted, sit on the edge of the bed and whisper, my God, when will this change? And that is where the law of assumption needs to stop being a concept and become a practice. Let's take the bill that doesn't add up first. You have 2 ways to react. The first, which is what almost everyone does, is to panic. You take the calculator, do the math again and again, feel your stomach tighten, sleep poorly, and wake up with your thoughts fixed on the debt. In this state, the electromagnetic field of your heart is emitting pure scarcity, and your subconscious mind, obedient, will attract more experiences that confirm the scarcity. You will notice that the client is late, that the car breaks down, that a fine appears. It is not bad luck. It is law. The second way, which is the Archangel Michael way, is this. You look at the bill, take a deep breath and say inside, with the firmest feeling you can muster, I am provided for. My Father knows what I need even before I ask. There is a solution walking toward me at this very instant, and I receive it in peace. And here comes the step that almost no one takes. You go to sleep that night, specifically, feeling the scene of having already paid the bill. Feel the relief. Feel the rest. Feel the thank God everything worked out. And persist every night, even if the next morning the external reality still looks the same. What happens in the invisible is that the bridge of incidents begins to organize itself. You may be remembered by someone who owed you old money, a freelance job may appear, a discount may emerge out of nowhere, a brilliant idea may be born in the middle of a shower. It is not blind faith. It is the spiritual law in action, the same law that Jesus summarized when he said, "Believe that you have received it, and you will receive it." Now let's talk about love. Perhaps you are reading this with a soul tired of waiting for someone to see you with their whole heart. Perhaps you are in a marriage that has turned into heavy silence. Perhaps you have been alone for years, and that pain of sleeping alone has begun to turn into an identity. Pay attention. This is the poison. The moment you begin to identify with loneliness, you say, "I am lonely." And I am is the name of God, remember? You have just decreed it. And the subconscious, obedient, will give you more proof that you are indeed alone. Archangel Michael calls you to reverse this today. Start saying, "I am loved, I am seen, I am desired with respect. I am the right person in the right encounter at the right time of God." And before sleep, enter the scene of walking hand in hand with someone, feeling the security of their presence, the shared low laughter, the scent of the other. Do not visualize the face, visualize the feeling. God takes it upon himself to clothe this feeling with the exact person, the one only the Father knows. Let's move to family. Perhaps your son has drifted away. Perhaps your brother has become an enemy. Perhaps your mother is ill and you live in fear. The temptation is to pray for the problem, and therein lies a subtle mistake. When you pray for the problem, you keep the problem as the focus. You reinforce the illness, the distance, the fight. Archangel Michael teaches you to pray from the solution. You close your eyes and feel the embrace of your son returning. Feel the voice of your mother saying, "I am fine, my child." Feel your brother apologizing in silence, and you enter that scene, sleep in it, wake up in it, insist on it for 30 nights, 60 nights, as long as it takes. Because persistence is the price one pays for a transformed life, and it is a cheap price when compared to the price of continuing to complain about it. Now I must warn you about a trap, and Archangel Michael asked me not to let you leave this video without understanding. The trap is called impatience disguised as faith. It is when you begin to do the technique, enter the scene, feel the feeling, but the next day at breakfast time you begin to check the external reality. Has it changed yet? Where is the sign? Why hasn't it happened yet? Every time you ask this question with anxiety, you return to the state of lack. It is like planting a seed and digging up the ground every day to see if it has sprouted. You kill the seed. Faith requires the silence of the harvest, the patience of the farmer who has sown and goes to tend to other things while God does the invisible work. And the inner talking? The inner talking. This is the greatest battle of your spiritual life, and no one taught you how to fight this war. Inner talking is that voice that speaks to you all day, all the time. It is that voice that complains about the driver in front, that criticizes your own body in the mirror, that says, "I knew it would go wrong," that ruminates on an injustice suffered 10 years ago, that rehearses arguments that haven't happened yet. This voice, my brother, my sister, is your true prayer. Yes, not the formal prayer you say with closed eyes in front of the altar. It is this continuous prayer, this internal murmur of the 16 hours of the day you are awake, that draws your reality. Archangel Michael calls you to assume authority over your inner talking. Every time a sentence of defeat arises within you, you cut it with the sword of consciousness and replace it with a sentence of victory. "I can't" becomes, "With God, I am capable." "Nothing works out for me" becomes, "Everything aligns in my favor in perfect timing." "I am alone" becomes, "God walks with me, and he never abandons me." At first it seems forced, artificial. After a few days it begins to become natural. After a few weeks your new inner talking becomes the new prayer that fulfills itself every day silently in the fourth dimension. There is a scientific study that confirms all of this, and I want you to know because science did not come to deny faith, it came to explain it. Researchers at the HeartMath Institute have demonstrated that the human heart's electromagnetic field extends up to 3 meters around the body, and that this field changes its pattern according to the predominant feeling. When you feel fear, the field becomes chaotic and emits a dissonant frequency. When you feel gratitude, the field becomes coherent and emits a harmonious frequency. And here is the astonishing part. This frequency influences the behavior of the people around you, of animals, and even of plants. In other words, the emotional climate of your home is not the result of what others do. It is the result of the field that your heart emits. If you want peace in your home, you don't need to shout at anyone. You need to establish yourself in the state of consciousness of peace, and the field takes care of transforming the environment. This is science. This is spirituality. This is law. Now let me tell you about a specific night. Just any night that could be the one in which you are listening to me. You lie down, tired, with the weight of everything, and instead of repeating to yourself everything that went wrong during the day, you do the opposite. You remember 3 good things, even if they are small: the coffee that tasted good, the bus that wasn't that late, the sun that appeared for a few minutes. You feel gratitude for these 3 things, and this gratitude, however small, changes your heart's frequency. From this foundation, you enter the scene of the fulfilled desire. You breathe slowly like someone who has already won, and you fall asleep. And while you sleep, Archangel Michael, who is the prince of the heavenly hosts, sends spiritual guardians to arrange the following day, to divert bad people from your path, to put the right people in your path, to whisper into the ears of those who have decision-making power over your life. You wake up without understanding why good news arrived. It did not come by chance. It came from the night you dared to sleep in peace, even without an apparent reason. And here is the golden key I want to hand to you, that truth which Neville Goddard summarized in a phrase I want you to memorize. Dare to assume the state of the wish fulfilled and observe the bridge of incidents forming to lead you to it. Dare. This word is important, because assuming peace when you are in the middle of the fire is an act of spiritual courage. Assuming abundance when the bills are not yet paid is an act of holy rebellion against the evidence of the senses. Assuming health when the test results haven't come back yet is an act of biblical faith in its purest sense. And that is why most people do not manifest, not for lack of technique, but for lack of courage. The courage to feel what is not yet seen. The courage to smile when the world expects you to cry. The courage to give thanks before the delivery. There is a biblical passage that summarizes all this. Whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours. Do you see? It is not believe that you will receive it. It is believe that you have already received it. The verb tense is past. Because in the spiritual world, in the 4th dimension, everything that God promised you has already been delivered. It is on the invisible plane, waiting for you to tune into the frequency of delivery so it may descend onto the visible plane. And what makes it descend is the assumed feeling of having already received, sustained with persistence. Perhaps you are thinking right now, but I have tried so many times. I have prayed, I have visualized, I have wanted it so badly, and it didn't work. Listen carefully. You wanted it badly. That is the problem. Wanting it badly is a way of reaffirming that you do not have it. It is like a man in the desert who shouts, "I want water, I want water." Each shout reinforces the thirst. The secret is different. The secret is to feel like someone who has already drunk the water, like someone who has already quenched their thirst. Then the source appears. Neville Goddard used to say, "Do not pray the prayer of lack, pray the prayer of possession. Lack pushes away. Possession attracts." It is not mysticism, it is law. At this point, Archangel Michael wants to remind you of one thing. You are not alone in this journey. There is a celestial army around your life, but this army can only act within the authority that you exert. If you live in mental defeat, you deauthorize celestial help. If you live in faith, even if it is small, even the size of a mustard seed, you open the doors. Angels do not disrespect free will. God does not invade a house without being invited, and your invitation is the state of consciousness that you choose to inhabit every day. There is a simple exercise that I want to teach you now, an exercise that you can do every day, anywhere, and that changes your frequency in minutes. It is called the instant of surrender. You close your eyes, place your right hand over your heart, and say within yourself, "Father, I release control. I trust in your timing. I surrender the result. And while you work in the invisible, I choose to be happy in the visible." This prayer of surrender, felt with emotion, dissolves hours of accumulated anxiety in seconds. Because anxiety is born from the illusion that you need to control. And when you release control, the field of your heart opens to receive. Do this exercise 3 times a day, upon waking, in the middle of the afternoon, and before going to sleep. In a week, you will already notice a difference. In a month, the people around you will ask what happened to you. And take note of one important thing. When you start living like this, many people around you might find it strange. Some may even distance themselves. Do not get attached. It is part of it. Your new frequency attracts new people and distances the old ones that no longer match your new state of consciousness. It is like when the seasons change. Some leaves fall so that new ones may grow. Do not cry over what leaves. Be grateful and open your arms to what God is bringing, because He never takes away without replacing it with something better. Perhaps you are asking yourself, but what about sickness? What if I have already received a diagnosis? How do I apply this? Listen well. No diagnosis has final authority over the body that God created. The diagnosis is a reading of the present moment, not a sentence upon the future. Joseph Murphy wrote entire books telling stories of impossible healings obtained by people who learned to change their state of consciousness regarding their own body. I am not telling you to abandon your doctor. On the contrary, the doctor is an instrument in the hand of God. But what happens inside you spiritually enhances or annuls any treatment. Start seeing yourself as healed. Start being grateful for the healing before it appears in the medical tests. Speak to every cell in your body before falling asleep. I am health. I am life. God flows through me and restores me. And persist. Healing, like any manifestation, obeys the law of assumption, and the children of the house, and the rebellious teenagers, the children who have lost their way. Archangel Michael wants you to understand this. No child is lost forever. God has a way of bringing them back. But while you remain in a prayer of despair, saying, "My child is lost, my child is on the wrong path," you are reinforcing their image in that state. Change the prayer. Begin to see them every night, having dinner with you in peace, smiling, hugging you, saying, "Thank you, Mother," or "Thank you, Father." Feel the hug, smell their scent, feel the relief, and persist. There are stories of mothers who persisted for years and saw the impossible happen, children who came back from rock bottom, children who called out of nowhere after a decade of silence. God honors persistence. At this moment in the video, I want you to take an inner pause. Place your hand on your chest, feel at peace, and ask yourself, what state of consciousness have I been dwelling in? What feeling has been the master of my hours? If the answer hurts you, that is fine. It is the first step. Recognizing it is half the battle. From today on, you have a new tool. You have the law of assumption. You have feeling is the secret. You have the nightly technique. You have controlled inner talking. You have the exercise of surrender. And you have above your head Archangel Michael with the sword of light cutting every invisible thread of fear that still tries to bind you to the old. Let me tell you one more thing, one last truth before we conclude. When you begin to live by the law of assumption, you realize something astonishing. You stop being afraid of the future, because you understand that the future is not something that happens to you. It is something you choose. Every day upon waking, you choose the state of consciousness you will inhabit, and every night before sleeping, you sow what you wish to harvest tomorrow. Life ceases to be a random suffering and becomes a conscious sculpture. You are the sculptor. And Archangel Michael is the guardian of your work. There is one last technique I want to leave with you called revision. Before sleeping, mentally review your day. If something happened that displeased you, rewrite it. Yes, you heard me. Rewrite the day. Imagine the scene exactly as you would have liked it to happen. The argument you had with your husband, imagine it ending in a hug. The rude answer you received from your boss, imagine it as a compliment. The traffic jam that set you off, imagine it as a smooth drive. Neville Goddard taught that revision alters not only your memory, but the very fabric of future events, because the subconscious does not distinguish between what was lived and what is relived with feeling. By rewriting the day, you rewrite the energetic pattern that generates the days to come. Do this for 30 nights, and you will see old conflicts dissolve without you saying a word to anyone. We are reaching the end of this video, and I want you to pay attention to something essential. If you have made it this far, it means something. It means that there is a real spiritual hunger within you, that there is a soul seeking an answer, that there is a silent mission that God has placed within you which has not yet been fulfilled. You were brought to this video, not by chance, not by the algorithm, by Archangel Michael, who knows exactly where every soul needs to be at every moment. That is why I have prepared this powerful digital book for you. It is titled, How to Know If God Will Save You on Judgment Day. And more than just a book, it is a spiritual compass for these times we are living in. In this moment, as you finish this video with an open heart, a call is being made and you are free to answer or ignore it. But I must tell you with all honesty, those who ignore spiritual calls eventually feel a void that no material achievement can fill. And those who answer, even while trembling, even with doubts, discover new ground beneath their feet. The link is in the description of this video and pinned at the top of the comments. It does not cost what you imagine. It only costs the courage to take the first step. Thousands of brothers and sisters, Americans like you, have already received this material and written to me, telling of restored marriages, debts paid off in impossible ways, children returning home, and illnesses dissolving. And the most beautiful part is that everyone said the same thing. I felt it was for me. If you feel it now, it is because it is. Do not let it pass. Comment below to seal this moment with just 2 words, I accept, Michael. And prepare yourself, because the moment you type that with faith, the invisible begins to move in your favor. And remember always, the peace you seek so much is not on the outside. It is a state of consciousness that you inhabit now, here, in this very second. Feel at peace. Archangel Michael is with you. The law of assumption is real. Feeling is the secret. The I am is your power, and you, my brother, my sister, were created to win. May it be so, and so it already is. Amen.